Hey, good morning, folks. That's right, brisket. It's 4 a.m. A friend of mine asked me, hey, can you cook a brisket for my family? They're coming over for dinner. So here I am, 4 a.m. We got a 12-hour project ahead of us. Got like a 12-pound brisket here from Costco. It's a prime piece of meat. Looks good. She did well when she bought it. And so I'm going to go ahead and carve that up. And we got some salt and pepper and some apple cider vinegar and some stuff we're going to throw on it. We're going to smoke this thing on my propane barbecue grill. That's right. I don't even have a smoker. But we're going to do this on my grill. I'll show you how I do it. It'll come out fabulous. I've got apple wood and maple wood. So that's like maple? No, that's, yeah, maple. We're going to do a little maple wood smoke on this brisket. We're going to have maple on one side, apple on the other side, indirect heat. Oh, it's going to be fabulous. Stay tuned. So, okay, folks, here we have this brisket. On this side, we have the marbling side. And there's this big piece of fat here, and we want to go ahead and trim this off. And we don't want to make a huge pocket here, but on this particular side, there's always this little fat side. We're going to go ahead and trim off most of it, but we want to leave some of it. I don't want to make a pocket, but you don't want to leave this huge piece of fat here because nobody's going to want to bite into that. So what we try to do, it's going to be a little bit concave, but you don't want to go much more farther than that. So this is the easy part. See how we still got this little bit of fat here? Now, some of this fat is great. You know, it's flavor, it's juiciness, it's delectability, actually. Did I just say that? Anyway, so that's about as far as I want to go. There is a little pocket of fat there, but we're going to leave the rest of it. This marbling looks fantastic on this side. Okay, now we have this side. We've got to deal with all this. This is a huge amount of fat. And what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and cut this down on this particular side. We're going to get it to about 1/4 inch. We want to leave 1/4 inch of fat on this particular side. Okay, so we're just going to keep trimming this. Now, in a lot of cases, this particular piece right here, and I went a little too far, but this is usually a huge flap. But so we're going to go ahead and take, and that's not the end of the world, folks. We're just going to keep slicing off a little bit. It looks like they've trimmed this pretty well already. And we're just going to slice off and just keep slicing it until we think it's about 1/4 inch. And because we don't want any huge pieces of fat. So let's go ahead and just keep trimming this. So we take off all the excess. This particular piece of meat has been cut pretty well. They've trimmed it up pretty well. So now here's another thing. When you do a brisket, this is majorly important. I don't know if you can see this grain. The muscle here on this particular flat section of it. This particular piece of meat is made up of 3 muscles. In this particular section here, the grain goes this way. There's a couple things you need to understand is, in order to get a nice tender piece of meat when you cut it, you need to cut cross grain. Okay, so when this is done, now, when it's done, it's going to be dark brown, black. So we need to know that this is, now, some people will go actually cut this off and make a flat section here so they know that's where they need to cut. What I'm going to do is just do this. I'm going to make 2 cuts, just like that. You see that? That's going to tell me this is the way I need to cut. Okay? So you need to do that. You need to know, you need to cut across the grain. However, this section, it's actually another 2 pieces, 2 muscles. I see a little more fat I want to take off here, but this is actually another 2 muscles over here that kind of lay on top of each other. And when we get down to this section here, we start cutting it. When we get to this spot, you'll see, I'll show you later, we're actually going to turn it 90 degrees and start cutting it this way. But in any case, that's it. We've got it trimmed up well enough. We're going to go ahead and get this seasoned. Okay, folks, let's season this piece of meat. Now, salt is your friend. And you can use any kind of salt you want. Kosher, ionized. I'm using coarse sea salt. And be liberal about it. In fact, I'm going to go to this side because I don't have time to waste here. We got to get this on the grill. So you want to salt liberally. Do not be afraid of that. This is a huge piece of meat. It's going to cook for 10, 11, 12 hours. And the salt not only gives it flavor, but it penetrates into the meat. And it does, I've been told that it actually tenderizes the meat. And being that it's a brisket, you know, it's a tough piece of meat. And so we're going to go ahead and liberally put some salt on here. Next thing is pepper, black pepper. I've got a coarse black pepper here that I'm going to use. We're going to cover this liberally. Black pepper is your friend, folks. So we're going to go ahead and cover this liberally with black pepper. So you can see we have a lot of salt, a lot of pepper. And now you can use any kind of rubs you want. I would stay away from sugars. Sugars, because we go ahead and cook this for, 10 hours, give or take. The sugars will burn. So make sure if you use a rub, any kind of rubs you buy, make sure they don't have a lot of sugar or any sugar. So I'm using an emerald rub here. There is no sugar in this emerald rub. There's just a lot of garlic and seasonings and things. And I'm going to liberally cover this. I also have a little bit of cowboy rub, which is an unusual mix. Now I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of cowboy rub on there. And we're going to leave that be and pat it down. Now that's liberally covered. You can see that, right? All right, Emerald, we're going to do your side, the other side here with your stuff too. Anyway, there we go. It's covered. You see that? Boom. Ready to go on the grill. Now I'm going to let this sit for about an hour. I pulled this out of the refrigerator, trimmed the fat, seasoned it. Let's let it sit for about an hour. It's going on the grill. Okay, folks, here's the magic. Here's how you're going to smoke this brisket on your propane barbecue grill. Are you ready? Here's how you get the smoke. Tin foil. I got 2 layers. I'm going to go ahead and take my wood chips that have been soaking for about 45 minutes. We're going to put them in this tin foil. Flatten them out a little bit. Okay, going to make a nice little patty out of it. Now I have 2 layers of tin foil because I found that when I use 1 layer, it's a little too thin. Unless you get the heavy duty, which I don't have. I just have standard Reynolds wrap. I'm going to go ahead and fold these up, make a little patty out of it. It's apple wood, it's maple wood, it's maple. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. I'm going to poke some holes in it with my fork. And little breather holes. There we go. Because I want this We don't want it to flame up. If it starts on fire, we have a problem. We want to keep a nice clear smoke. We don't want a bunch of white, ashy smoke. You know, nothing, it doesn't have to be perfect, just, you know, whatever. And there we go. We got some holes. This will smoke right through there, and we're going to set this. I'll show you how I set this. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tinfoil packet there. I'm going to put another one over here with the holes up. And that back burner, I'm going to kick it up just a little bit. I want to maintain around 250. And what's going to happen is this back burner is going to start the wood chips on fire. Now, I have a side burner over here. One thing you can do if you want to do it a little quicker, you can go ahead and heat those packets up on the side burner. Get them smoking and then put them in. But I've got plenty of time for today. And this is what I'm going to do. I've got my grates. I don't know if you see it. I kind of like, switched them up a little bit. Put one in the center and one left to right. Because the brisket's going to lay here. The heat is all back here. And the brisket's going to lay here and drip down. And so it's all indirect heat, if you understand what I'm doing. Okay, folks, I've got the brisket on the grill. I've got the flat over here just away from the heat. Got the two packets back there smoking, and they are starting to smoke. You probably can't see it. We don't want a heavy white smoke, and it's very faint coming out of them, but we're just getting started. This is a huge long process, 10 hours. The brisket's there. I've got the larger portion here towards the heat. We're going to do that most of the day, and we might rotate it later, and we're going to wrap it in a few hours. I think like 4 or 5 hours I'll wrap it. But in any case, this is the way we get started. It's right at 250 right now, and we're going to go ahead and let that sit for about 3 hours. 2.5 hours in. Oh, looking good. Looks like this pack might have burned out. That one's doing beautiful. We're sitting just over 250 degrees. The one packet on the right has kind of burned out. This one over here is still smoking nicely. It's looking fantastic. But we're going to jump start this one here. The flames underneath it. We're going to get that nice and smoky. I'm going to throw that in on the right hand side. My other packet kind of fizzled out on me. And there we go. You can see that one's starting to smoke real nice. Okay, we're going to, in a few minutes, we're going to throw that inside and continue grilling. All right, I've got that pack in over there. It's still smoking nicely. I'm going to give this a few more minutes, and I'm going to start spraying her down with our secret mixture. Okay, folks, here we go. I've thrown another pack on there. That's a little smokier than I want it to be, but here we go. It's looking great. I have a little mixture here. 50% water, 50% apple cider vinegar. We're going to spray this down over on this side. It's going to get a little more dried out on this particular flat side. So we definitely want to soak it down. I might rotate it. We'll see. It's been 3 hours. Now for the next 3 hours or so, I'm going to go ahead and do this about every 45 minutes. Just soak it down with this apple cider vinegar. I don't want this bark getting too dark, too done. Especially, this side here. Normally, a lot of guys cut this right off. I left it on, but we'll do some burnt ends out of that. We're going to get this nice and wet. Might give it a little spin here. But yes, apple cider vinegar. You just want to soak it up. You want to get it wet. Obviously, a big thick portion here is going to take the brunt of the heat. My heat is all over here, so that's why I have it this way. I might angle it a little bit more, just pull it away slightly. This thinner end is obviously going to cook faster. The flat end, we call that. And so we're just going to let this roll a little bit, like 250. Might drop it down a hair. But the smoke's looking good. I don't like too much heavy white smoke, but it's looking good. Check on it in about a half hour. So 5.5 hours in, it looks fantastic. Reading just over 250 degrees, which is great. We're going to spray it down again here. Especially this side over here. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but look. Apple cider vinegar, water. I'm going to let it go a half hour more, and then we're going to wrap it. Fantastic. Look at that. Take a look at that. What do you think? Oh man, does that smell good. Oh my. We're using this apple wood, maple wood. We're calling it maple. No, maple. It's the maple. We're going to roll this a couple times in the paper. We're going to try to tuck it. It's a little narrower than I like, but it's what I could get. And we're just going to wrap this up. Keep it going. I'll try to go on this side, and I'm going to try to go back on the other side. Ah, there we go. Something like that. Just to get a good seal on it. A lot of people use tin foil. A butcher friend of mine says this is the way to go with the butcher paper, so I'm going to give it a try. It's my first try with the butcher paper. We're going to wrap this baby up as long as this stays down. This won't burn because we don't have direct heat on it, but this is going to seal in all the moisture as much as possible. Oh, it feels super soft anyway. Very tender. Get this right back on the grill. And voila, there we have it. Okay, we're going to go about another 3 hours. I'm going to start checking temperature and with my thermometer and see what we have internal. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit in this paper before I check it. Can do a little temperature read. We want it to be about 203, over 200. And I think we got a ways to go yet. That's the big portion of it. That's going to be the slowest to heat up. Looks like we're at 275. Or I'm sorry, 175. Go into the over here where it's a little thinner. Once again, it's not climbing, so I might have to kick up the heat a little bit. I'm cooking at 250 right now. Got a couple more hours to go, probably. Yeah, let's try in the center here and see where we're at there. And that quickly, you can see how it's dropping actually. Yeah, it's climbing now, but yeah, we still have about 25 degrees to go. I'm going to kick the heat up a little bit. We're going to get this up to about 275 and let her go. And I'm going to go ahead and spin this around. And I'm going to go ahead and check temperature on this side. This side is closer to the heat. I don't expect it to be much different, but we'll see. It's getting near that 175 again. At 175 now. And there we stand. So yeah, it's the same temperature. Okay, there's the final product. It's been sitting for about 45 minutes. And I'm going to give it start cutting it here. This end here should be a little bit tough and dry because it's the... Oh, we'll see.
I know that.
No, if I use the knife right side up, that might help.
I'm gonna shave it tomorrow.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Not completely.
Okay, it's looking pretty good.
Take care of it for him.
What is it? I still think we should.
And when you cut it, you got to cut across the grain. And I don't know if you know, I think I told you earlier, I made a couple slices so I knew which way the grain went. I'm going to take these pieces here on the end. We're going to make some burnt tips out of them.
Use a razor to use
We're going to cut this about halfway. And then we're going to switch directions. Now this particular piece over here, the part of the flat, it's going to be a little bit drier because it's so thin. A lot of chefs will cut that off before they cook it. I left it on there.
Now I'm trying to find some Pepsi that has some felt in it.
There's Pepsi in there. I just bought it. She didn't buy it. On this here.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
They were only about that size.
Want to cut it fairly thin, but not too thin.
Thank you. I had brought
I'm so glad I'm the last one. We gotta see the last one. Don't tell me about it.
Lost them in the pile of all the roots.
How many episodes is it so far?
All right, once we're going to go a little bit farther here, we're going to switch directions. At least that's my understanding.
You seen the boys?
No, I've been wanting to see that one too. I read some of the comics. Yeah.
Oh, and look at this.
Pepsi, I brought it. That's fine.
I have some.
I know, I got it.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't
What's the boys about?
Damn, that looks good, man.
I'll
try it out, but I'm not that kind of person, you know.
Go ahead, grab that piece, Kenny. We're going to cut this piece off here for a burnt end. We'll chop that up, make burnt ends out of it.
That tastes great, huh?
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, Kenny's a fan.
So I like a brisket or what was the other one? That's really good. Carnival roll. Well, this is nice. It's got a little power to it.
I haven't watched any TV shows. Well, what I want to check out.
I like TV shows.
You what?
And this section here, big thick section, is just juicy as all get out.
I'm waiting for something to happen.
Started off small, we decided it.
Yeah, there's like TV shows.
Wow. Fantastic, guys. Looks good.
I feel like I wasted that time. But
Nowadays, not. I mean, yeah. Usually find out the first couple episodes.
yeah, exactly.
I want to take this section here and make up some burnt ends. All right, folks. We've got a big party over today. You can hear the people talking.
I was a little disappointed.
So there we go. That's all cut up. We're going to get it on a tray and get ready to serve this. I'm going to chop these pieces over here and make some burnt ends out of them. Throw some sauce on them.